Hello everyone, and welcome back to Dragalia Foundry, a fan channel where everything Dragalia Lost can be found. This video is going to contain my first ever clear of Primal Brunhilda's trial on the Master difficulty. This trial released on the 3.5-year anniversary of Dragalia Lost, so if you're watching this at the time I post it, happy 3.5-year anniversary everybody! I hope you've been enjoying your day in Dragalia Lost. We got a preview of our anniversary event that's coming up. It seems to be the final real event for Dragalia, at least the new event, so I'm excited about that one. It seems to have Orga and the Auspexes play a prominent role. We also got a little teaser of what's coming with the rest of the story, and of course Primal Brunhilda herself as a brand new battle, and one which I actually found to be pretty enjoyable here. So I'm going to share my first clear. I'm using Pietro, Gala Mascula, Summer Ieyasu, and Sandalphon, and I have to say I was not expecting this particular run to be the first clear, as this first phase of the fight was not going especially well for me. It was taking a lot of unnecessary hits, was not doing the ideal damage I could here, as my rotations were not very crisp, but it always sort of works out that way, where the run you don't expect to succeed is the one that does so. And the reason I'm using Pietro on my team, unfortunately he's still not a great unit, but the reason I have him on my team here is because, of course, he is the channel's icon. He's a character who's one of my favorites in Dragalia Lost, so I had to do him justice by using him on my first clear, but to be fair, it's pretty much a carry from the rest of my team members. In case you're not familiar with why Pietro is one of my favorite characters in Dragalia Lost, it actually goes back to the original High Dragon trial for Brunhilda. When that was out, I ended up getting my first clear with Pietro. It was, of course, a co-op clear, which was more the norm at the time in Dragalia Lost, and it was a really dicey, close finish clear where sadly I died at the very last minute. You'll see there are some parallels in this being a very imperfect run here to that original run I did with Pietro back in the day, but it's really fun. It kind of is a full circle moment for me to have this come out, as that original trial with High Brunhilda was when I started to get more seriously into Dragalia Lost. I would say that was kind of a turning point where before I was more of a casual player, and at that point, I started really wanting to do all these new trials as they released. I started wanting to play with unconventional characters, and that ended up being something I really enjoyed over the lifespan of the game. So obviously, with it being the 3.5-year anniversary, it's kind of a time to reflect on the game, but we also know, in case you're not aware, I'm going to keep repeating this as new videos release, but in case you're not aware, we also know that the end of service is coming for Dragalia Lost. So there will be new story content through the end of July. There's perhaps a chance that we get the rest of the Primal Dragon trials, but I don't know if that's necessarily guaranteed. I would love that to happen as a way to really see off the game and give us fresh content and bosses to face every single month, but we really don't know if that's going to happen yet or not. So for me, I'm just savoring this one. I'm really going to enjoy it a lot. I am going to definitely play my weeklies, even though this released here at the end of the week, and it was pretty challenging for me, not gonna lie. Now, granted, probably replacing Pietro there with Gala Elisan would make my life significantly easier, but I want to do it with Pietro at least once, and so, yeah, this was a pretty hard trial. I think there's just a lot going on the battlefield. Just like with Primal Midgard-Stormer, Primal Brunhilda summons spirits or silhouettes of other characters, of flame adventurers in the game, who then attack you with purple or red AoEs. In this case, those red AoEs are represented with a yellow color, and in particular, it's a short-range one that can one-shot you, so you have to watch out for that one, but you can iframe it. But it's just a lot going on. It's kind of a little hard to see when there are so many purples on the battlefield at times. The other cool thing about Brunhilda, there's these mechanics where Brunhilda will summon different types of flame orbs, or different weak points essentially around the battlefield. We saw it a little bit earlier, and all of them have slightly different properties. So there's one that has range resistance, there's one that you have to force strike before you're able to hit it, there is one that has a hit count that you have to do to it, and so on. So there's one moment in the fight where you have to get through all 4 of those, and if you don't, you get a wipe. There's also another moment where we'll see in a little bit here. Once Brunhilda's HP gets down to a certain amount, she does a screen-wide move. It causes Scorched Rend, and there's almost like a maze or labyrinth-like structure of flames on the ground, and you have to navigate your way through to a somewhat hidden flame orb like that one that we saw earlier, like the 4 we saw earlier, and destroy that orb before that phase ends. There also appear to be some marker attacks, some purple homing attacks that cause Scorch Rend. There's this attack that you've seen a couple times now that starts on the edge of the arena and works its way in 3 different circles. Here we are with the Scorch Rend Blast. Thankfully, it doesn't appear to deal damage, so that's pretty good, because otherwise you could be very precarious here, as the AI have a little bit of a hard time just navigating this amount of lava, but we made quick work of that orb there. And I say they're semi-hidden because they can appear off-screen, and then you have to go and check and make sure that you actually get it before this phase of the fight ends. But having destroyed it, we just continue on. We're just beating on Brunhilda. I'm piloting Ieyasu, so like I said, it's more of a carry of Pietro if anything. And I switch to Mascula here because this is another new mechanic, but this flame shield is much like Surtur's in that you just need to do basic attacks, and other types of attacks and skills are not going to deal damage to that flame shield. So you have to whittle it down, and it can be hard to do with, as you see, all of this chaos happening on screen with these summoned characters. Here's the attack with the 3 different rings. Can be a little hard to dodge, but you can roll your way through it if you time it properly. Then we have the swirling infernos, and with my HP low and several characters HP low, a little bit of a risk there. We have something very similar to the meteors in that firestorm attack, the meteors being a move that Brunhilda did famously in her earlier difficulties. Superheated Nova, where you have to stay inside and then run out. Kind of messed it up, but I was fine. Kind of like the meltdown attack that Brunhilda also has at earlier difficulties. But we're just still chipping away. I knew that it was going to be a close clear if it was possible with Pietro, and I actually originally tried to do this with Sharpshooter Cerise instead of Gala Mascula, and unfortunately I just found myself timing out so often that it started to get toward the end of the 3.5 year anniversary day, so I said, okay, let me just go ahead and put Gala Mascula on there. I'll definitely get a clear with Cerise, both water versions of Cerise in the future, but maybe not when I'm trying to shuttle or ferry my Pietro through for that first clear. Now things are a little dicey here, as Sandalphon has gotten interrupted while she's trying to heal and gain SP, and she keeps force striking. Not exactly ideal, but thankfully she's going to have some breathing room before she's knocked out by that Curse of Nihility inducing screen-wide move, and we're also able to sufficiently damage the shield that Brunhilda puts up that we're totally fine. The HP is going down here, but we also are starting to run out of time, and it may seem like you're closer to defeating Brunhilda than you are, just because of the fact that she has a second shield that she'll put out. Now, I do think you can clear this much more quickly if using a properly constructed team. I feel like 7 minutes is probably a pretty normal clear time, and then if you want to optimize, you could definitely do less than 5 minutes. Maybe there are some other strategies out there that I haven't seen that could get you below 3 or around 3.5 to 4, but at this point, I feel like I said toward the beginning, it's more about savoring and enjoying these fights, taking them on with characters you like, than really min-maxing unless that's particularly what you enjoy about Dragalia Lost. So if you do like that, more power to you. I'd be curious to see what kind of comps people come up with. I'm sure that people are brainstorming and have come up with some ways to auto-battle the expert difficulty, which you do want to grind up for materials if you so desire, to get those materials to get Primal Dragon weapons, just like with Midgard Stormer's trial. Here we switch to Pietro as I see the end appears to be in sight. Obviously I don't want to mess up, especially considering I messed up with my first clear of High Brunhilda's trial when I was using Pietro. I didn't quite get behind a volcano that I should have, but thankfully this time around Pietro was able to survive, make it through. I used a helper here with Gala Emil, with Bahamut. I think I needed just about all the power that I brought on this team. Pietro also had a Bog shared skill, which does work against Primal Brunhilda, although it's not necessarily the easiest to control the timing unless you're playing as your shared skill character. Of course, it's probably better to put Sandalphon or another character as my lead character to hold the shared skills, but I wanted Pietro as my leader on my team just so I could see him on my clear screen here, and was super happy to finally get this W. That is going to do it for today though, everyone. So thank you as always for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time.